Okay, recorded already started. Hello everyone. Please feel welcome and thank you for joining us today again in this edition of the MuleSoft online meetups. This is for November. And first of all, happy Thanksgiving for anyone that is tuning in from the US, and happy shopping for the rest of us that we're waiting for the Black Friday season. So it's always my pleasure to host these events for you, our community, and I hope you're enjoying in the sessions today. We have two great speakers, and one last thing, they are coming right from the heart of the MuleSoft Engineering. So now, before we start, please remember your feedback is what drives these sessions. So at the end of the session, you will get a survey, and we're going to look at that survey and see what other topics we can leverage. There's a quick notice here that I need to mention. There seems to be some problems with the chat on the Baby platform. We are already notified. We will look at some alternatives to do our Q&A and socializing for today. Sorry about that. In the meanwhile, I will continue this introduction. And with that, we have the four faces of the organizers for these meetups. We have Manika and Suyo in AMER. We have Royston Lobo in APAC. And you have me, Angel, here in EMEA. Quick things that we have reviewed in every meetup. So for trainings and certifications, you can go to the trainings.mulesoft.com. Remember the newer certification that is for free, the Mule 4 MCD, once you finish the self-serve course. And for training queries, you know it, you have the help.learn.mulesoft.com. You can create tickets there for any query that you have for the training team. For any doubts you have the help.mulesoft.com forum, or the Stack Overflow as well is valid. Now, some guidelines for today. We need to improvise on this. Please write down your questions, and once we get the Q&A up and running, I will share it with you, and we will be able to get those questions there, and we're going to answer them at the end of the session. This session is going to be recorded as per usual, and we are going to share in the YouTube channel and in the Meetups page. Now, just some quick recap from the last week, the announcements. We talked about it, the DataWeb Playground and tutorial for those who missed it last week. Imagine using DataWeb directly from your browser while you're looking at the tutorial. You can also play with the code snippets of DataWeb. That is what the DataWeb Playground and tutorial is trying to address. So yes, this is a secret product which our teams are working on, and you can start using it right now. You can head towards dwlan.fun. And don't worry about capturing all the links. There's a slide deck that I'm going to share. All these ones that you're seeing right now in my introduction, you will get them, and you will get the links as well. A quick disclaimer there. Remember, it's not an officially support MuleSoft product. You can use it for your learning path. You can use it for your testing, but it's not supported by MuleSoft support, and it's not a MuleSoft supported product. You can still make any pull requests or changes that you want, or any issues that you're encountering, you can report them there in the GitHub repository. github.com, MuleSoft Labs, DataWeb tutorial. And don't worry about the links. We're going to share the slides after the session or during our Q&A so that you have everything with you and you can check them on your own time. Now, quick announcements of the hackathon. You still have 4 days to submit your ideas. Remember, amazing prizes. We're talking about $10,000 worth of prizes for the first 3 winners, and the next, I think it's 14 winners will get some swag. So keep that in mind. It's closing in 4 days, so you can still submit your idea. The Friends of Max video series, just so that you're aware, we have these 5 to 10 minutes, very small videos that you can take while you're making a coffee break, maybe while you're waiting for another meeting, and you can learn something new. In this case, one-time advertising is the introduction to continuous integration and continuous deployment. In this case, you will get some ideas on how to articulate the value of CI/CD, whether it's to business stakeholders, to a tech lead, or even for yourself to understand the overall problems that you're trying to address with it. Now, there's some new hot webinars coming in. The Start Mastering Your Own Troubleshooting. So this is hosted by the MuleSoft support engineers, and you will get as well the best way with the MuleSoft support process, how to successfully troubleshoot, how to quickly diagnose and resolve any problem you have, and what are the best tools to extract the information to troubleshoot. You can go to the webinar and register there in the link. And again, don't worry about the links. I will share the slide deck and you will get all those links in the presentation right there. And this one, it will last around 1 hour or 2 hours, and you have many different sessions that you can join. Now, with that, we're almost done, and we will start with the session. But remember, next week, using the Mule4 Java SDK to build a connector. If you haven't worked with Mule4 Java SDK, this is a great opportunity for you to learn from someone who has. Chris Hughes was actually designing one of the first DocuSign connectors for MuleSoft, and he will share his experience on how the process is and how you can do it yourself as well. The other session that is happening not in 1 week, but in 2, and you may have heard about Stephen Yu. He's a very active member of the MuleSoft community. He has done already 3 sessions, and he's doing still 1 more. Oh, wow. 1 second, please. There's something going on here. Hi there. Can you hear me all right?
Yes, Angel.
Wow, sorry, crashing the system. So we continue. Are you able? Let me share the screen very quick here. I guess today is the day, definitely, for the introduction. The session will be amazing. So yeah, here we have the next session happening in 2 weeks' time. It's from Stephen Yu. You may have heard about him. He had done 3 meetups already. It's a strong member of the MuleSoft community, and he will do it on exposing APIs on Runtime Fabric. This is very technical, and if you're interested, I really recommend you assist. Finally, so Anypoint Studio 7.7, I took 7 minutes. I'm sorry for the 3 minutes I'm taking over from you guys, but here we have both Eric and Marina based in the beautiful lands of Argentina. And remember, in our Q&A session for today, we're not covering traveling tips to Argentina, nor talking about how to make the best Argentinian asado. And just a quick recap, Eric has been a Muley for around 2 years already, and Marina is almost 4 years that she started with MuleSoft. They're both part of our Anypoint Studio engineering team. And even before we start with that, we have a special guest. Jason is going to be, he's from our developers tools marketing team. He's always looking on how to help developers, how to make developers' life easier. And I'm going to first give the mic to you, Jason, and then we can give it finally to Eric and Marina. That is why everyone is here today.
Cool. Thanks so much. Yeah, I'm flattered to be like on the slide with them. I don't think I have as big of a role in this presentation, but yeah, it's great to be here. I see some familiar faces in the attendees, so happy Thanksgiving to everyone in the States. I know after this, I'm basically cooking all day, like prepping. But yeah, so for those who don't know, my name is Jason Johl. I work as a product marketing manager here at MuleSoft. And so my focus is on our developer tooling, and together with our product managers as well as our engineers and our marketing team, we kind of have this truly team effort to handle all the releases for the developer tooling. So one of the things that I was kind of looking forward to in all of our meetups is how technical we can get in some of these discussions. And so for the latest release of Studio 7.7, I was thinking it would be a great idea our engineers come and talk and give you the new features straight from the source. So that's what we've kind of put together here today, is kind of have Marina and Eric kind of go through some of the new features in Studio 7.7. And yeah, I'm just here to enjoy the ride. So I'll hand it off to them.
Okay, thank you, Jason. Thank you, Angel. Give us just a second in order to share our screen. We have some live here. Okay, so perfect. Thank you, Marie. Hello, everyone, and welcome to a new MuleSoft meetup. Today, we are going to talk about Anypoint Studio 7.7 and the new API design perspective. At the end of the presentation, we're going to have some Q&A slot, so please take notes about all your questions, and it would be a pleasure to us to answer them after the presentation. My name is Eric Mastrangelo, and I work as a software engineer at MuleSoft since 2018. I'm really glad to be part of MuleSoft because the Anypoint platform has a lot of amazing products, and also they represent a huge technical challenge to me. I mean, we are developing a tool for developers, so that's really exciting. On the other hand, the MuleSoft culture, the inclusion, the equality is really amazing and creates and generates a really healthy place to work, a really good environment to work to. Well, I live in Buenos Aires, Argentina, but I am from a small, beautiful city called Tandil. It's a small city between the mountains. I don't know, guys, have you ever visited Tandil? Probably you don't. But if in the future you have the chance to do it, that would be great. You definitely have to do so. Regarding Anypoint Studio, last month, I've been working over the API lifecycle experience. Me and the rest of the studio team. We have behind us a truly technical, a truly amazing team supporting us, working with us day by day. They are rock stars. So it's also an honor to be here representing them too. And now it's time to introduce to my friend Marina.
Hi everyone. Thank you for the presentation, Eric. Well, my name is Marina, and I am a software developer too. I've been part of MuleSoft for almost four years. It's a lot of time. I've been always working in the same team, in studio team. But something to talk about myself is that I am from Uruguay. It's a small country next to Argentina. But I moved to Argentina about 12 years ago. But I am from a small town in the north of Uruguay called Melo. So I'm almost sure that nobody from here knows the city. But if you have the chance to visit Uruguay, maybe it's a different and nice place to go. So as part of the team, I've been working regarding API lifecycle inside the studio. So for me, it's a pleasure, and I'm really happy to share with you all the things that we have added, all the new features, and all the new experience regarding API inside the studio. So I hope you enjoy the presentation, and of course, any feedback, any comments, please let us know.
Perfect. So, since Anypoint Studio 7.7, the API specification lifecycle is complete. Now you can create your API specification within Studio. You can iterate over it collaboratively. You can also test it with our mocking service. And finally, you can publish and share it on Anypoint Exchange in order to be used inside any Mule application. But now let's take a minute, guys. We want to know a little more about you. So now we have the chat already working. So tell us, where are you from, your company, and which version of Anypoint Studio are you working with? Okay, don't be shy. Let's see what we have. Vikas Kumar, hello Vikas. We have David, also from Paris. Thanks for joining us today, Davis. What else? Which version of Studio are you using? Okay, we have David. He's using Anypoint Studio 7.7. That's great. Oliver, hi Oliver. Nasir from Chicago. Welcome everyone.
A lot of people using 7.7 is great.
Yes, exactly. That's amazing because you are going to be more familiarized with the presentation. Yes. That's amazing. Victor from Canada, Studio 7.6. There we adopted Eclipse for 15. Yes. Yeah. Manik, hi Manik, welcome.
Also, if you can comment if you are experts or any APIs, or you are more involved in Mule applications.
Well, we have a lot of people here, Marina. That's
yes.
amazing.
Yes.
Well, let's start. Let's move on to the agenda.
Okay.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Along this presentation, we're going to talk about how to implement an API specification. We're going to review the new Exchange JSON editor and the Git staging view. We're going to see how to generate documentation in our API console. We're going to test the API using the new mocking service. We're going to publish also to Exchange. And finally, we're going to scaffold the API inside the Mule application. So, Marina, all yours.
Thank you. So before starting with this example, let's review a little bit of history in previous version of Studio. Before 7.4, the only way to work with APIs, most of you already know that, but we want to review it, was creating a Mule application, go to Design Center, create your API, then go back to Studio and import it, and use the option to import it from Design Center. That import makes a local copy inside your Mule application. And if you want to do some changes, just modify your RAML definition. But if you want those changes to be reflected also in the platform, I mean in Design Center, you have to copy and manually paste it. And that's a very limited thing. In order to solve that problem, from Studio 7.5, we introduce a new kind of project. It's a new concept for us. There is an API specification project. So now, if you want to define your API, just start in Design Center, create your API, and go back to Studio and import that project as an API specification project. But as you hear, you have to start, you still has the limitation that you have to start the API inside Design Center and move again to Studio. So in order to solve that problem, from Studio 7.7, we create APIs from scratch. So that's the example we are showing in this brief video. There is a new option. It's the same functionality that you have when you create a new application. You create a new API from scratch, and you need to log in first to the platform, as this project is already synchronized with Design Center. What I mean with synchronizing is that the project is also created in Design Center. So you have in both sides the same project living. The UI to create this project is pretty simple, and it's pretty similar to the one in Design Center. We, in order to be aligned and not make confusion, we have the same configuration. You will be able to choose the language, RAML 0.8 or RAML 1.0. You also can choose OIS 2 and OIS 3. Something to mention that is really important is that we have full support of OIS 3 regarding API specification. And we are currently working to support OIS 3 in the implementation side. So it's going to be in our next releases. But going back to APIs, API specification project, the UI, as I was talking about, is pretty simple and is similar to the one in Design Center. Also, you can create your fragments. And if you have noticed in the video, also you have the possibility, of course, to choose the project name. That project name is going to be used to create the root API. And after the creation, the root API is going to be opened with our API editor. So also we have in the package explorer, as you can see, the structure of the API specification project is simple. you have the set of files, and you have only one mandatory configuration file called exchange.json. This file is really important. We're going to talk about it in the next slides because we have a lot of things to explain here. Well, let's move on to the next. Well, also, in order to make it easier and simple to develop your API, we have introduced the API perspective. So you have a new button in the corner, as you can see, next to the Mule design perspective. And this perspective joins the most important tools to develop your API. As you can see, there is the limited red dot lines that shows the API console that Eric is going to explain us later. And we have the Git station view. I am really sure that most of you are familiar with Git operations, but this view allows you to work collaborative with your team. You can pull, push your changes, solve conflicts, make commits, of course, change your branches, and so on. Also, of course, you have the package explorer and to navigate easily inside your project. Of course, you can change the layout. This is a default layout, but you can change it for the one you feel more comfortable. So, as I promised, we're going to focus on Exchange.json. Just explain a little bit about this. To make a comparison to a Mule application, the Exchange.json use the same concept as the POM file. So contains all the metadata that the project needs. For example, the group ID, the artifact ID. You can choose, for example, the root API. And Studio includes an editor in order to edit this kind of file without avoiding going directly to the JSON file, avoiding syntax errors or some limitations of this kind of project. But I would like to focus on the possibility to add dependencies using this editor, because we introduce the same UI that you already know when you work with Mule project. You can search for connectors, for example. Well, here you have the same UI. You can select the dependencies you want to include in your API, select the version, and then save the modifications. After you save it, the dependency is resolved, and you are going to see it in the Package Explorer. So I would like to know if you are familiar with this editor, if you use it, and how often you modify the exchange.json, and if you need some other functionality, or maybe you prefer editing directly the JSON text. So it would be great to hear some comments regarding this kind of editor. So thank you. Well, at this moment we have created an API. We have been working collaborative with our team, as we can pull, push changes, see the differences between the studio and the project that lives in Design Center. And now it's time to know what else we can do. So Eric, all yours.
Okay, thank you, Mari. Another cool feature included with a new API design perspective is the API console. On the right side of the Studio window, you can see the new API console view. This view basically generates all the documentation regarding your API specification automatically. As Marina said, you can customize your perspective. As you can see here, I prefer a shorter Git station view, so the API console can take all the right side of my Studio window. It works better to me. As you can see in the image, while you are editing your API specification, in this example, we have a YAML file. The API console is refreshing constantly in order to maintain the information up to date. This is really useful not only to have a graphic representation of your API specification, but also to see a big picture of it. Otherwise, you should go to the source code and check line by line what you have developed so far. Next slide, please, Mari. You can dive into the API console. You have a navigation bar, and there you can just jump between the endpoints and the resources, and you can see them in a more organized way. If you want to go inside one of them, like in the image of the middle of the presentation, you will see the same information you have defined on your API file. You could also find some code examples. Believe me, guys, these code examples are extremely necessary if you want to consume this API from outside Studio. You have plenty of programming languages. You have to just copy and paste the request, and that's it. Pretty simple. You can also check the query parameters, their type, if they are required or not. And finally, you can check also the responses here if you have defined any. All this information is the automatically generated documentation that I'm talking about. Now, if you are a developer, you know that testing your code is as important as developing it. For that reason, we added a mocking service inside Studio. The mocking service is a powerful tool to test your API, simulating calls to a real server. You may ask, where does the mocking service live? Well, the mocking service is just another Anypoint platform product. I mean, if you have access to Design Center, to Exchange, to API Manager, you will also be able to use the mocking service. Even if you are using PCE, I mean a private cloud edition, you will also be able to use the mocking service because, as I said, the mocking service lives inside the Anypoint platform instance. As you can see here in this example, after the mocking service was turned on, the API console has inside each endpoint a new URL. This URL is the mocking service one, and that means that the API console is ready to test the endpoint. I'm not sure if I can share this with you guys, but anyway, we are having some internal discussions in order to see and figure out how we could improve the mocking service experience. Mainly, we're talking about the toggle option. Okay, we want to make the mocking service toggle more visible and maybe located in the API console toolbar. And also, we are thinking about adding some status indicator. But well, you probably have to wait until next releases in order to see if we added something new here. Okay, let's test the API. Next slide, please. On the upper right corner of the API console, you will see a try it button. We are here inside an endpoint, okay? If you click there in the image of the middle, you will go to another view in order to test that endpoint. Again, we have the request URL, the mocking service one. And if you just take that URL and go outside Studio, let's say to another HTTP client, you also will be able to test this endpoint. But now all that functionality is here inside the Studio. How cool is that, huh? Here, we also have to define one required query parameter called ISBN. And after that, we just can click on send button and send the query. On the last image, we can see that we are receiving a 200 response. This is the one we defined on our API file. So it seems like our endpoint is working as expected. Making a recap, we have created our API from scratch within Studio. We have added all the source code in our main file YAML. And now we have tested it too. Now we are ready to deliver this API and share it in Anypoint Exchange in order to be used inside any Mule application. So, Marina, all yours.
Thank you. Well, just to do a quick review, as Eric has said, we have covered the starting APIs inside Studio. Also, you have the possibility from Studio 7.5 to import the API specification from Design Center as an API specification project, and you have finished your development inside Studio without have to move to outside to your web browser, for example, to go to Anypoint platform. And once this API is ready and once everything is working, we have the possibility to share and to publish it to Exchange. I am pretty sure that you are familiar with the publish to Exchange option when we are talking about Mule application. You know that clicking right-click over a Mule project to select the publish to Exchange. Well, you have the same operation when you right-click over an API specification project. The UI, as you can see here in the example, is very similar. You can modify the version. You can choose the version you want to publish. You can modify the artifact ID. And some cool thing here is that we provide some information about previous versions. For example, if you have the scenario that you have some developers working in a different studio, or even more better, working in Design Center, and they publish the same API. So in order to avoid errors, trying to publish the same asset, so the same asset with the same version, of course, we provide the information about the last published version, and also we suggest you the next version to be published. So avoiding any errors regarding that. So what is happening behind the scenes when you click on the finish button? We compile the API, checking syntax errors, and we package the API and upload it to Exchange. So now this asset is living in Exchange and is ready to be implemented, and it's going to be ready to be shared with the rest of the team. So now we are ready to move to the Mule application world in order to implement this API. I'm pretty sure that you are familiar with this wizard. It's a new Mule application wizard. You have another ways to implement your API, but in this example, we are creating a new application, a new Mule application. And in the section of dependencies, you can import the API that you have already published and select the version you want to implement. And it's really important to check the option to scaffold it. I'm sure also that you are familiar with the scaffolding operation, but just to do a brief explanation, this operation will create a configuration file inside your Mule application with all the message processor and all the components that you have defined inside your API specification. So now the project is ready to run it, to debug it, or to use it. And I don't know if you are, please comment if you work in this way, if you prefer, I don't know, using the old way, just importing the API inside the Mule application, or you are working with previous versions of your asset. I mean with that, publish your API first and then consume it with a Mule application. Just let us know, please. We are very interested to know how familiar you are with this journey. So to summarize what we have done during our last releases, as you can see, we have added a lot of new functionality, and this new kind, this new project, new API specification project, we are supporting new behaviors inside the studio. So we have completed all the journey to start your API specification and the implementation inside your Mule application. So we are very happy to our last releases. We think that you have more. Of course we have things to improve, and that's why it's really important your feedback here today. It's a great opportunity for us to hear from you what the way you use it. And I think that I don't know, Eric, if you have anything to add, but I think that we are ready to some questions or some comments.
Yes, we are ready for some Q&A. Thank you, Mari.
Okay, so I will be back now, and we have the first question was, can we import a project we created in previous studio to 7.7 without having any issue? Can we import projects that we created in previous studios versions to 7.7 without having...
What kind of project are you talking about? I mean, API projects, API specification projects, or Mule?
Let's assume first Mule, and then if we can cover API specification project as well as the specific Mule applications mentions Abin. Yep.
Yes, you can. I mean, if I don't think we have any problem with that.
Yes, you should be able to do so, definitely.
Yes, it should work.
Okay, excellent. By the way, sorry, because I should have mentioned that has been a great presentation. I really like the dynamics we had so far before just jumping into the question and to the Q&A. So for the next, thank you guys for presenting, for dedicating this time to the community. So now with the questions, the next one is around, we need a session on Azure CI/CD pipeline. Is that possible? Okay, that one is for me to take, Deep Rajan. That is a topic for next session. There's another one around if you have a new endpoint to an existing API. If you add a new endpoint to an existing API, will the scaffolding create a flow for the new endpoint only? That is the question from Niti.
Yes, I can take one if you want, Mario. Go ahead. I don't have no problem.
No. We can explain both.
Okay. Start you.
Okay. It should create the new message processor regarding your new endpoint. It should rescaffold it and update the existing XML file.
Okay.
Exactly. But remember, before that, you have to add first the endpoint on your API specification, and you have to publish another version to Exchange in order to be consumed inside the Mule application. After that, as Marina said, you can rescaffold, and a new flow will be created.
Okay. Thank you, Marina. Thank you, Eric. There is another one coming from Dennis. It's related to the different MuleSoft Anypoint Studio versions 7. So this one is, any advice about how to uninstall lower versions 7.3 or install on top of 7.3 before installing 7.7? So I'm guessing this question is, if you already have a previous version to 7.7, should you download the newer installer and have to update your different plugins, or is there any way to import those plugins in your fresh install of Anypoint Studio 7.7?
We always recommend to install from zero. I mean, we fresh install this. But if you have any problems regarding that, just let us know. But we always recommend to install again. Most of the cases that we have older version of Studio, we have between the new version you want to use, there are most of 2 or 3 releases. We recommend to fresh install.
Yes, and the other option is to just Studio will recommend you to install a new update, and you can just do so from your current version. That's the other way to do so. Fresh install, or you can update your current version.
Yeah, and just to add to those two, thank you, Marina and Eric. I was a developer 3 or 4 years ago in MuleSoft. I agree to those two statements right from our engineering team. I was always downloading a new application for Studio, a new version, installing a new version from afresh, creating your workspace. And yes, sometimes it can be a little bit tricky to install everything you had in before, but you can list it and then it will be just a process of a matter of minutes. Okay, thank you both for that one. And for that, we move to the next one. That is, can you please comment on JVM version? Do you recommend 1.8 or Java 11 for Anypoint Studio?
Okay, we're thinking about to update the Java version, but so far we are consuming 1.8. So maybe it will be better if you use that version.
Yeah, for now, until it's published in the official documentation, right, Eric? In the official documentation, release notes, confirmation that the software recommended is that specific version of Java.
Okay, perfect.
Okay, excellent. Thank you, Eric. The next one, can you synchronize changes made in Anypoint Studio back to Design Center? This question comes from Mark Willis. Can you synchronize changes made in Anypoint Studio back to Design Center?
Yes, if the project is already synchronized, for example, if you import it as an API project, a specification project inside the studio, you can push and pull changes from Design Center. But if you have a RAML definition inside your application, we do not support that kind of synchronization. We are always talking about API specification project, and the synchronized all the synchronized operation must work there.
Okay, thank you for that, Marina. This one I will take it for training. It's from David Torre. The question is if MuleSoft is planning to update the fundamentals course with the API design on Anypoint Studio. This is a question. I don't know, Eric, Marina, if you have any input. This is probably a better question suited for training team.
Yes. I don't know, but for sure, maybe they are planning to do it.
Yeah, I can chime in there. So I know they are like aware of this new release. Typically for our training classes, there's some delay between the release and actually them updating the materials because it is a significant amount of work. So I'm not sure exactly what their plans are on how they want to incorporate this, but they're definitely aware that this is a new feature in Studio and how they can incorporate it in the class.
Nice. Thank you for joining again, Jason.
Yeah, I got one question.
Yeah. Okay. With that, we move to the next from Shuai 1. I think this one is related. We already answered it. That is, what is the quickest way to upgrade from 7.6 to 7.7? The suggestion was to download the 7.7 Anypoint Studio fresh installed and install it. With that, we can move to the next one. That is from Niti once again. So what about API specification projects? Is there any issue for importing to Anypoint Studio 7.7?
No issue. I mean, if you create the API first in Design Center, that should work. I mean, we can import the API specification project. And also, if you, for example, create the API specification project and you want to open the same workspace in a different studio, it should work also.
Yeah, good one, Marina, because that is exactly what he was referring to later on. That it was around the different versions of Anypoint Studio, if they are importing from different versions of Anypoint Studio. Okay, so with that, we move to the next. It will be, this is Jonathan Ben-Hamo. We're running into an issue with authentication to a federated Anypoint organization. It seems that the default proxy settings are different between Studio 7.4 and 7.7 in the networking section. The native provider is empty. Have you tested or have you seen with a federated organization and some firewall proxy? The first thing before we jump into answering that one is that, Jonathan, if you're experienced that one, I expect or I hope that you already have opened a support case, because it seems that it's something that can really tamper your development experience, and it's something that support team needs to be aware of. With that said, I don't know, Eric or Marina, if you have any input around testing or checking with federated organizations for the Anypoint Studio 7.7 versus configurations of Anypoint Studio 7.4.
No, usually we test each new feature that has some kind of connection through a proxy. But to be honest, would be better to see the case, you know, the support escalation ticket or something, in order to review the scenario. But I don't know how.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. Marina, you agree with that statement as well, right?
Yes.
Yeah, that's the best way to go through the support route. Now, the next one is from Olivier Lamiral. Will Flow Scaffolding be available for OS 2.0 and 3.0 specifications?
Eric, you have
Yes,
something to
yes.
say? Yes. Okay.
Yes, we support OES
Yes.
2 and 3. Yes.
Yes, but if you want to scaffold OIS 3 inside a Mule application, we are working on that feature. So the full support is from our last release, 7.7, is about API specification, not implementation. So in our next releases, we hope to support OIS 3, the scaffolding operation. But OIS 2, it should work.
Okay, thank you for that, Marina. Eric, there's another one coming from Mario Cairone. Any idea about the API auto discovery issue when running applications in Studio? And when could it be fixed? So again, this is related to the support lines to understand what specific issue you're having. Marina, Eric, I'm not sure if you have heard about any issue around API auto discovery when running applications in Studio.
No, I have never. No.
Me neither.
Okay, so Mario, if you can please follow up with the support team, and they should be able to help. The next one is from Stefan Stutzer. And sorry, before we jump into that, we still have around 4 to 5 minutes of questions, and then we will need to wrap up. So from Stefan, the question is, I experienced that when importing an API specification, you cannot change the API project name. Usually, I use the API name for the Mule application project, which ends up in a name conflict. Are you planning to support choosing a different name when importing API specification projects?
Well, if you import an existing API specification project that already lives in Design Center, when we import it, it's going to be used the same project name. You should have the possibility to override or change or rename the project name. Just let us know if you have any issue renaming API specification project, but that functionality should work because it's part of Eclipse itself. So not have to be any problem with that.
Okay, thank you for that, Marina. Stefan, I hope Marina have managed to answer your question. And with that, we move to Victor Corso, asking if it supports Anypoint Studio supports RAML 2.0. RAML 2.0. Sorry, Victor Corso, I was completely taken off by that one. RAML 2.0, if you can, I don't know, Marina, Eric, if you have any input on that one. I have to check what this is about. Sorry, Victor.
I have never heard about that RAML version,
Yes.
to be honest. But
Yes,
maybe
we are the same. I just remember the version we support is 0.8 and 1.0, but 2 and
yeah,
maybe
1.0 and 0.9. Okay.
okay.
Yeah, Victor, if you could please add the link where you saw that, I would be interested
Yes.
to understand because it could be something else. Niti is asking again, does the API need to be published to Exchange before doing scaffolding? Before, I used to create the API in Design Center, import it into Studio, then do the scaffolding, all without publishing the API to Exchange.
Yes, yes, this is some path you can use. Of course, you can import it inside your Mule application, but you are missing the synchronization stuff because this is a local copy inside your Mule application. The difference between that case and using a published version from Exchange is that you first create an API specification project and you use all the synchronization feature between the project that lives in Design Center and the one that lives in Studio. So of course you can do in that way, but you are missing that part. I mean, if you have to share the changes when you are editing your RAML definition, you have to copy and paste it outside Studio to be reflected in Design Center. So that's the main difference. But of course, you can do it in that way. I don't know if I answered the question, just to make a little bit difference between both scenarios.
Yeah, I think you did perfectly, Marina. Thank you for that. And for the next one, we just have 2 more questions, and I think we're ready to go. It will be one around can we use Open API? We already OAS instead of only using RAML. The answer was already yes. The next one is Jonathan will create the case. Thank you for that, Jonathan. Next question from Jonathan. Is it possible to work with different reports so that we can use pull requests to collaborate on API specifications? Remotes, not reports. So is it possible to work with different remotes so that we can pull requests to collaborate on API specifications?
I don't know if you want to answer or.
Yes, yes. The project is a Git repository, so you should be able to make the same operations between repositories, pull requests, all that stuff. Yes, definitely, you should be able to do so.
Okay, thank you for that, Eric. Oh, there's one more from Leonardo Lopez for the same auto discovery issue in Studio, but only when debugging. Okay, that is Leonardo. If you can as well, please open up the support case because that will help us triaging what is going on. There's a couple of thanks. Olivier thanks you guys for the answers. Stefan as well. Dennis as well. Mario asked about the RAML 2.0, if it's actually true. And then we have another question. I think we can do the last question from Jonathan. I think there is a new draft for RAML. There is some information on that in the RAML. Can you show how to resolve if someone makes a change in Designer while we're modifying the same API specification in Studio? That is a very good question, Jonathan.
Yes. I can explain it, but Eric, feel free if you want to explain it too.
Go ahead, Mari.
Okay. If you use the Git staging view, you can compare both sides and copy and paste and solve it manually. It's the same behavior that if you have a Git project, that a personal one without a Studio, like a Java project, for example, you can solve the conflicts, in this case, using API specification project, using the Git staging view. you have you can click team. I think that is team option, and solve conflicts or finish the merging or something like that. But it's going to appear in both sides the comparison and all the things you have to resolve. I think these are red lines there. And you have to do it manually and then push the changes, commit and push the changes.
Okay, excellent, Marina. Thank you for that. And just some messages here. Niti says, thank you for answering the questions. Leonardo Lopez as well. And one comment from Stefan, the auto discovery issue is solved. He had the same issue when debugging. And you can see that post that he added for details. Thank you very much, Stefan, for sharing it. That's very valuable. And with that, I think we can go to the last question. If I'm stealing 5 minutes more from Eric and Marina, the last question will be for Andre Gromyko. Can you tell anything about synchronization between different control planes? For example, EU with US or even PCE? Tricky PCE when we talk about PCE. I don't know, Eric, you're smiling, so it seems, Marina, you're laughing as well. There's something there.
Between different control planes, I don't know there. I can say just about PCE is the same experience that if you use the Anypoint platform commercial instance. I mean, the functionality is almost the same. But I don't know between different control planes.
And with PCE, the disclaimer that the features are going to be released between 6 to 12 months after they are already available in your cloud offering, just so you're aware in the control plane. Marina, I don't know if you wanted to add on that one.
No, nothing, anything to add there.
Okay, excellent. Okay, so with that, Andre, no, don't. Sorry, he's apologizing for the tough question. No, it's not a tough question. PC is always tricky.
No,
say that. Okay, guys. So thank you everyone for joining today. Thank you, Eric, Marina, Jason, for making the time, for putting the effort to work with the community. We're getting a lot of thanks now. Thank you guys for joining. The community is what drives this effort. So with that, again, we say goodbye. We're going to see you in the next session. Eric, Marina, any last words, any goodbye messages for the community? Use Studio 7.7.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes,
no,
yes.
Just thank you everybody for coming today, and just have a happy journey with the API project.
Yes, the same. I hope you enjoy this presentation and all the stuff that we show.
Lovely. Thank you guys for putting the time. Thank you, everyone, and see you in the next session.
Thank you.
And with that,
Bye-bye.
bye, everyone.